Hey guys, so in today's video, I thought that I would take the time to respond to another comment that was left on a video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the comment and then I am going to respond to the comment. I don't anticipate this being a super long video, but you guys know that sometimes I tend to get a little long-winded, so I do apologize if this turns into a longer video than anticipated. So this comment was left on my video titled "The Hardest Part of Being a Special Education Paraprofessional." This comment was left by Tamary9496. I'm sorry if I am pronouncing that incorrectly. And the person asked, have you ever worked with a child that is physically aggressive? So for those of you who don't know, when I was working as a special education paraprofessional, I worked in the ECSE setting, which is early childhood special education. I usually worked half of the day with kids who were like age 3 to 5. And then the second half of the day, I would work with kindergartners to sixth graders. So that just gives you kind of a baseline information of the age group of the kids that I was working with. I will tell you that I worked with multiple children who would get physically aggressive. Some of them were on the autism spectrum. Some of them were just special needs as far as having like a learning disability. I had kids that headbutted me. Like at one point, it looked like I had a goatee because I got headbutted by a kid who, like, it was time to go in from recess and he did not want to go in. So, like, he headbutted me and I had a bruise right here, so it looked like I had a goatee. There were also kids who would become physically aggressive with other students in the classroom, so we kind of had to watch everything that was going on very, very closely. Obviously, you need to do that with any children, any students in the classroom, but especially with special education students, you don't know what is going to set them off, especially if they have certain anger issues. Sometimes people just act out with behaviors when they don't know how to communicate what they're feeling. Sometimes it might not even be anger. It might be like they're scared or they aren't sure how to comprehend what is going on around them. And so they act out physically, and it might come off as being aggressive, even though that's not how they really intended it to come off, but they don't really know how to express what they're feeling, if that makes sense. There were also multiple times in my time that I spent working in special education as a paraprofessional where we had to evacuate the classroom because of a student who would start throwing chairs. And so we had this whole plan. Each special education classroom within the school that I worked in had to have an exit strategy. And the exit strategy was basically just, basically how to safely get the kids evacuated from the classroom if another student was starting to get physically aggressive. So basically, we would end up calling for help on the walkie-talkies. Each one of us had a walkie-talkie, so that we could call for help from either the special education director or the principal or both. We would just kind of call for help, and they would come find wherever we were at. There were multiple times where we had to do that for a couple of different students, where we either had to evacuate the rest of the students from the classroom, or thankfully it might have happened in the afternoon where the other students were not really in the classroom. Because our younger students, our ECSE students, would come from like 7:55 until 11, and they would go home at 11. So they were not there for the entire school day, which was a blessing in disguise because it could be very difficult to have to try to evacuate the classroom, especially if the other students were already engaged in an activity that they really enjoyed. Trying to get them to stop engaging in that activity, like, there were times where kids were playing with blocks, or we had stations open where they had like kitchen stuff out, or like farm animals or Mr. Potato Heads. Our classroom really enjoyed the Mr. Potato Heads. They loved like putting weird faces on them and stuff like that. And, it's very difficult to get them to stop. And so a lot of times, like, we would have to start timers to get them to transition from an activity that they were really enjoying to a learning activity, or vice versa. So We used timers a lot, and sometimes we were able to get the physically aggressive students to sit in like the timeout corner, where we had like tape on the floor in a square, where they would have to sit in that square until they apologized to whoever they hurt. Whether it was they were saying something mean, or they pulled somebody's hair, or they hit somebody, or spit at somebody, because we had that happen as well. And sometimes, if the behavior didn't stop, we would have to call their parents and send them home, which doesn't really do any good for the student, but it also, like, it's not a good situation if you can't teach your class because of the distractions and the behaviors of a student. So, anyways, hopefully that answered your question. If you guys want any more information about the work that I've done as a special education paraprofessional, I do have a soft spot in my heart for special education. Like, at one point, I wanted to be a special education teacher. I don't think that that is ever going to happen now because I'm much more interested in the healthcare field. But you never know. My life changes from day to day, and, feelings change and things like that. So, anything is a possibility. You never know what is going to come next in my life. But, anyways, if there are any other topics you would like me to discuss on my channel in the future, let me know. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. And if I don't respond to them in the comment section, I will most likely film a video eventually addressing your comment. I do apologize for the time that it takes for me to upload videos because, like, currently right now it is November and I am still uploading videos from August. So just keep that in mind. I do have a backlog of videos. I keep it that way just in case something happens where I get sick, or I don't feel like filming, or I can't film for whatever reason. So I do try to keep a backlog of videos so that I always have something to upload for you guys. So anyways, with that being said, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you guys in my next video.